It's 2019. Hello and welcome to the very first edition of 21 Minutes with KKB this very year. My name is Kwabna Chenche Hinibuati. Today, I bring you someone I'm sure a lot of you are keen on hearing from and seeing, particularly because this happens to be an election year for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My guest for today is former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Stay with us. My guest for today is former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for agreeing to do this. And everybody is talking about your new book. I've seen it, I've not read it, but perhaps let's just take this opportunity to ask about what really that book entails. We just take, I mean, in your own words, how would you describe the book?
Well, it is a book about governance, really. It is a book, of course, we title it Democracy Works. And really, the idea behind the book, it is a follow-up on an earlier book, how to make Africa work, which is how to really get the economic, social, and political life of Africa to be synchronized for the upliftment of Africa. And we came to the, of course, that was mainly socio-economic. We look at agribusiness, we look at industry, we look at infrastructure, we look at environment, and then we look at population, demography. And in all these things, if whatever you want to do, governance becomes central. And okay, how do we deal with the issue of governance to make governance achieve the objective to make Africa work?
Great.
So that is what this is all about. So democracy becomes the central issue or the core of governance. So, well, this is what the book is all about.
I've heard a lot of very fantastic things, reviews about the book, and we did hear the Vice President of Ghana speak so highly of the book, and several others have heard past similar comments. Now, in your experience, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you've led one of the most populous nations in Africa, and under your regime we did see a lot. Now, with that experience, and with all you have seen, and of course putting together this book, I'm sure some research that came to bear as well, what do you see to be the things that need to be considered most?
First of all, we must understand that democracy is not a destination. Okay. It is a journey. And that is very important. And there's no country that can claim I've got to the end of the journey. We are all making progress. So that is the first thing. The second thing is that democracy is not the end in itself. It is the benefit to the citizen. That is what democracy is all about. Even the simple definition of government of the people, by the people, for the people, for the people. And that is very important. Nowadays, we talk of dividend of democracy for the people. Now, somebody I was talking to the other day and talk about democracy. He said, is it democracy that I will shop? Is it democracy that I will chop? That is it democracy that I will eat? All right. Of course, if democracy cannot deliver, then democracy becomes a failure. So the essence of democracy is what democracy can deliver to the citizen.
What progress do you think your country, Nigeria, has made? Of course, taking a look at your contributions and the like, and just opposing that with the general progress on the African landscape.
I think we should not underestimate what we are achieving in Africa. We are not there yet. In fact, we are far from being there. But when you compare, if we take as an indication of democracy, elections, if you take that and you look back 30 years, Africa 30 years ago and Africa today, you will agree with me that we are making a lot of progress, or we have in fact made a lot of progress. Not to have election in any country in Africa today will be an exception. Now that is the progress we have made. 30 years ago, I would say having election in any country would be almost a miracle, right? This year alone, my country will have election. Senegal will have election. South Africa will have election. I know of those three. In fact, in my country and Senegal, I think they are only 1 week or thereabout apart. And that is very good. And you talk or you ask particularly about my own country. Since we started the present dispensation in 1999, this will be the longest period in our history since independence that we have consistently had elections without fail. 20 years in our, 59 years.
Over 50 years democratic history.
Almost 60 years. So this will be the first period that we have 20 years continuous. We have almost reached all the types that we have, or that we could have in election, or result that we could have, and the transition that we could have. We have had transition from one regime to the same regime through election. We have had, and in the same party, we have had from one regime to another regime in the same party. We have had from one regime to another regime from our opposition party. We have even have a situation where the opposition party defeated the incumbent president. And we have a problem not only in Nigeria, in other parts of Africa, where elections to some extent are still disputed. But eventually they are resolved either by tribunal or by a constitutional court or whatever is the constitution requirement of any country. And I always say that an election disputed and resolved by peaceful means is better than no election at all. So we are making progress. There are always, in some cases, fears of Will there be peace during, before, during, and
after the
immediately
elections.
after election? But in most cases, those fears have never really been actualized. So, my own country, I believe we are making progress.
I'm glad you speak of fears when it comes to elections in a lot of African countries. Fears of rigging, fears of chaos, violence, and the like. And I do know about some of the happenings in Nigeria. I've been reading a bit about it. But even before I ask this question, what's the relationship between yourself and the sitting vice president?
No, we are.
The vice president, the president, you don't seem to be on good terms at all.
No, it's not. What do you mean by good terms? The president is my colleague in the military,
Buhari.
and he's my president,
Yes.
and I am a subject of Nigeria, but I'm a former president,
Yes,
of course.
you
So, what more do you want?
you seem to be criticizing him a lot lately.
No, it's not critical. That's a game where that is what democracy is all about. With all due respect, democracy admits of pointing out, of course, participation. And participation does not mean that I must agree with you. It means that I am actively participating. So, criticism is also part of the trademark of democracy. Criticism, being different, is also part of the trademark of democracy. Now, in my part of the world, we say we must not all sleep and put our head on the same pillow. That means that we must think and must be able to think and come up and say, look, I believe it should be this way. And government should be able to say, oh, look, yes, there's point in that. That is why democracy admits of opposition. Opposition, well, you know what that means.
Yeah.
It means that it looks at the other side
The other side of it.
of the issue. There cannot be just one side.
So is that what prompted
Yeah,
that very lengthy letter?
So that's for me. For me, it is. For me, I wrote a book, 3 volumes, and I titled it "My Watch." My watch means I have taken the responsibility of being a watchman. And what is the duty of a watchman? To observe, and if there is problem, if there's danger, he points out, alert. I say, hey, I can see danger here. I can see problem here. And if a watchman doesn't do that, it's failed in its important job.
So
and
for
that is not anything to be afraid of, or to be worried about. Hey, those of you who are sleeping, a tiger is coming. Now, wake up. Or, well, as a watchman, there are guards. Then guards, wake up. The tiger, deal with it. That is the work of a watchman.
your critics, and most importantly, some of those who represent government, suggest that you're crying wolf. There really isn't anything to worry over.
Okay, that's good. Now, if I cry wolf and there's nothing to worry about, good.
They say it sets the stage for chaos.
Wait. If you cry wolf and there's no wolf, good. But if you cry wolf and there's wolf, then we have seen there's no time that I have cried and nothing has not happened. I cried and I was arrested and put in jail. Don't forget.
I remember.
I've gone to jail for almost 3.5 years. And what did I cry wolf about? I said the military should not remain in power. Anybody in the military who wants to be in government should get out of the military, put down his uniform, and contest election. That we have arrived at that. Now, but when I cried that wolf, just as you claim now, some people said there's
nothing to worry
there's
about.
nothing to worry about. But then we saw that thing there was something to worry about. Really? Now, I cried wolf. I said Jonathan was not performing. And some people said, hey, again, he's crying wolves. Now, after, with the benefit of hindsight, it is proved that Jonathan, the areas that I pointed out, were found to be true.
So where are the flaws in these ones, particularly in the governance of Mr. Buhari?
Well, I normally don't discuss the situation of Nigeria politically outside Nigeria. But all that I need to say about Buhari's administration, I've said it in Nigeria. What I believe should be done, I have stated it in Nigeria. And only yesterday, I issued another where I express my concern and actions that I believe.
I've seen quite a lengthy letter. Yeah. So we are wrapping up on this, but they seem to have a certain response for you. I've read portions of the response.
It doesn't matter.
They're quite harsh. You don't.
No, I don't.
You're not worried by them?
No,
not at all.
I don't worry about anything, because if you are right-thinking, fair-minded Nigerian who is concerned about Nigerian situation, you will agree with most of the points that I have made.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. I know I have taken a lot more of your time than I said I was going to take. And that has been former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. He's been our guest today on 21 Minutes with KKB. I told you that he's out with a new book. Of course, a book he co-authored with a few other very brilliant people. You should grab a copy of that book. Let me not get it wrong. The book is titled Democracy Works, Rewriting Politics to Africa's Advantage. You really do need to get a copy. My name is Kwabena Chencheni. Many thanks for joining us. Hopefully, I'll see you soon with another guest you're expecting.